I hate intros, My Hero Academia, episode 1. We jump right into some action when little Midoriya is trying to protect one of his classmates from Bakugo who's bullying him. That doesn't go so well and we get a little backstory on the universe. The first quirk that was discovered was a glowing baby, and after that more and more started showing up, but nobody knows the origin. Back over to Midoriya, who dreams of becoming a hero, so he takes extensive notes in his notebook about all the heroes he's come across. In school we find out that Bakugo is going to go to UA, which is a high-ranking hero school and also where Midoriya is hoping to attend. Ever since he was a kid, Midoriya had been a huge fan of All Might, the #1 hero and his inspiration for wanting to become a hero. Unfortunately, he finds out from a doctor that he's not going to develop any quirks, which is devastating to young Midoriya. Back to the present, a slime monster recreates a common hentai scene with the help of Midoriya. All Might had been pursuing the slime monster and blows him away with the wind pressure from his punch. He hits Midoriya with a preemptive autograph and then dips, but Midoriya had some questions, so he just kinda tags along. All Might seems to be in a hurry, but Midoriya wants to know if it's possible to become a hero without any powers, which grabs his attention. Episode 2. While Midoriya is telling All Might that he wants to be a hero like him, All Might deflates into what appears to be a meth head. After defeating the sludge monster, he put him into a bottle and was taking him to the police. While he was jumping through the air with Midoriya in tow, he had dropped the bottle. Bakugo just so happened to be walking by the bottle and kicks it, releasing the sludge monster who targets Bakugo. Back over to All Might, who's explaining that he was severely injured in a fight with a villain 5 years ago. Now he can only maintain his muscle form and fight villains for 3 hours a day before he reverts to his meth state. He tells Midoriya that you can't become a hero without powers and recommends that he becomes a police officer instead, casually dashing his dreams. While walking down the stairs, he notices that he dropped the bottle and sees commotion in the distance. Hop on over to Bakugo, who's being consumed by the sludge monster, and none of the heroes on the scene have quirks capable of stopping the sludge. Midoriya gets there and he sees the sludge monster and he starts to blame himself because he feels like he's the reason that All Might had dropped the bottle. All Might is watching from the back of the crowd as well, but can't muster the power to transform. As soon as Midoriya realizes that the hostage was actually Bakugo, he runs in without thinking to help him. He uses backpack toss, which crits the monster's eye, buying Bakugo some oxygen and time. He then desperately claws at the sludge to get Bakugo free, which inspires All Might to transform even though it's going to be detrimental to his health. He one-taps the monster, saving Bakugo and Midoriya. While walking home, All Might catches up with Midoriya and changes his answer from before, saying that he can become a hero. Episode 3. We find out that the public always considered All Might's power something along the lines of super strength, but in reality it's a power passed down from one person to the next, each cultivating it. All Might had been looking for a successor for some time, and when Midoriya tried to save Bakugo, that convinced All Might that he would be a good choice. All Might's power is called One for All, and Midoriya has to train his body, otherwise it's gonna break his limbs. He meets with All Might on a beach where people frequently dump their trash and is tasked with the insane 10-month schedule of clearing the trash. He works hard for the 10 months, and on the morning of the entrance exam, he finishes cleaning up the last of the beach. The last step is to eat one of All Might's hairs to complete the transfer. Apparently it just had to be some sort of DNA, which made me think, well, how does he prevent it from being passed down to one of his fangirls? Unless he just doesn't date any girls, and at that point, you could just keep your powers. I wouldn't want it, I'd just stay a muggle and go find a girl with daddy issues. When he arrives at UA, he almost trips and falls, but is saved by a new waifu candidate, Ochaka Uraraka. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that, because apparently you can't do anything else with them. We also meet Tenya Ida, who scolds Midoriya for muttering during the orientation. Each person is assigned a battle center, and once inside, the applicants have to defeat as many robots as they can. There are 3 different types of robots, which give you points for defeating them. The 4th type is more of an obstacle robot and won't yield any points, so they're advised to avoid it. In the last scene, Midoriya gets to his battle center, and the test is about to commence. Episode 4. At the beginning of the event, when he runs into his first robot, he freezes, and Yuga Aoyama KS's it. He soon falls behind the others, who are racking up the points when he is still at 0. The obstacle robot is then released, which is a massive robot that all of the applicants are forced to run from. Midoriya prepares to flee too, but then he sees Uraraka pinned down by some rubble. Instincts take over and he uses One for All to jump into the air and one-shot the giant robot. Of course, he didn't really think this all the way through because now his limbs are broken and he's free falling with no way to stop. Right before he hits the ground, he gets slapped by Uraraka so she can activate her power and make him float, which saves him from the fall. Then she proceeds to vomit right as the timer is reaching 0, ending the test without Midoriya scoring a single point. The school nurse recovery girl rounds first base to heal his limbs and makes him good as new. Later on, he gets a hologram message from UA, which is actually All Might, explaining that he had come to town to work for UA. All Might also shows him that Uraraka had come in after the test to ask for permission to give him some of her points since he saved her. As it turns out, she didn't have to because there was a hidden scoring system that gave applicants rescue points. Both him and Uraraka accumulated enough points to pass the test and get accepted into UA. Episode 5. Now that Midoriya made it into UA, he goes to his first class where he finds out that Bakugo and Ida are both there, which are the 2 he was trying to avoid. Although there is the consolation prize of Uraraka being in his class as well. They meet their homeroom teacher, Eraserhead, who takes them outside to put them through a series of tests to find out where they stand with their quirks. Whoever finishes last in the test is going to be expelled, so everybody starts taking it a little bit more seriously seriously. Everybody seems to be able to utilize their quirk in at least one of the tests, so Midoriya ends up in last. The ball throw test is going to be the last one that Midoriya can affect the outcome of with his quirk, so he decides that he's going to go all out. Eraserhead steps in and nullifies his quirk before he can use it, and says that he can't become a hero if he has to be saved every time he uses his power. So Midoriya focuses one for all into a single finger so that when he throws the ball, it breaks his finger, but at least he isn't out of commission afterwards. Episode 6. Midoriya threw the ball over 700 meters, but the tests after that didn't go so well because he was in so much pain from his finger. Since he didn't do that well on the remaining tests, he finishes in last place, but Eraserhead said that he was actually lying about the expulsion. While walking back, All Might calls out Eraserhead, saying that he doesn't joke about these kind of things, and last year he expelled an entire class. The reason he didn't expel Midoriya is because he saw potential in him. All Might is going to be leading their next class, and the students get their super suits. Midoriya never applied for a suit, so he doesn't have one, but his mom had made one based off of a sketch from his notebook. They're going to be doing indoor combat training with teams going head to head with one another. Each team has 2 students, with one team acting as villains that have to protect a fake bomb. The opposing team are heroes who either have to secure the bomb or apprehend the villains. Midoriya is teamed up with Uraraka, and they're first up as heroes against Bakugo and Ida on the villain team. When they go inside the test building, Bakugo ambushes both of them, but Midoriya counters, taking him down. Midoriya has taken extensive notes on all the heroes he admired, including Bakugo, so he's able to predict his moves. He can't use one for all on Bakugo because he can't control it yet, and he might end up killing him. Episode 7. Midoriya continues predicting Bakugo's moves and eventually runs away to try to get to Uraraka to team up on Ida. The hero team just has to touch the bomb for the game to end, but Ida is making sure that Uraraka can't get to it. Bakugo finds Midoriya again and uses his new suit to shoot an explosion at him. This is like way over the top, so All Might threatens that if he does it again, he's gonna forfeit the match. Midoriya tries fighting back, but in terms of 1v1 combat, he's clearly outclassed by Bakugo. So instead of going head to head with him, he uses his right arm to blow a hole in the floor above him where Uraraka and Ida are. This causes enough confusion for Uraraka to use her quirk and get to the bomb. Midoriya's left arm also took the full brunt of Bakugo's explosion, so both of his arms are completely tattered afterwards. But even though he's crippled, they still managed to secure the victory. Episode 8. Most of this episode is pretty much just introducing more of Class 1A's characters during the training. We have Momoya Yorozu, who can create pretty much anything she wants with her quirk, which sounds pretty handy. Mezo Shoji can replicate his body parts on the tips of his tentacles. The hentai applications are astounding. Then we have his teammate Shoto Todoroki, and I'm glad they reworked his character design in the future seasons because he looks like he's trying to kill Sarah Connor. His opponent was Mashira Ojiro, who has a tail, which is just an unlucky roll in quirks. Ojiro's partner for the test was Todo Hagakure, who's rocking a permanent Dr. Disrespect cosplay.
I want to be transparent.
Next up is Hato Seto, who shoots tape out of his elbows. His teammate was Ejira Kirishima, who can harden his body parts. I'm allergic to low-hanging fruit, so I'd rather not milk that quirk. Their opponents were Fumikage Togayami, who can summon a shadow to fight for him, and also Suya Asui, who has the attributes of a frog and is responsible for the best cosplay I've ever seen. Jump on over to the pervert Minoru Mineta, who spawns sticky balls on his head and then throws them at people. We also have Kyoko Jira, who has headphone jacks for ears and can emit sound attacks. She was teamed up with Denki Kaminari, who produces electrical attacks. Running out of transitions, Rikido Sato eats sugar and turns it into strength. Working with him is Koji Koda, who's timid and beta, but then ironically commands animals. And finally, Mina Ashido, who can produce acid from her hands. Back to the story, we find out that the only ones who know about All Might's meth state are his close friends, Recovery Girl, and the principal of UA. Midoriya doesn't want Bakugo to feel like he deceived him, so he tells him that he got his powers from somebody, but he can't tell him who. Episode 9. The press had found out that All Might had started working at UA as a teacher, and now word is getting around to everybody else. Class 1A is tasked with assigning a class representative, and after a vote, Midoriya ends up winning. While eating an alarm sounds because the UA sensors pick up on an intruder. All the students are panicking, but Ida figures out that it was just the press that somehow got through the outer barriers. He's able to calm all the students down, so Midoriya says that he should be the class rep instead, and he gladly accepts. The barrier had been mysteriously destroyed by somebody, and the teachers speculate that it could be a declaration of war. All Might is noticing that he's been slowing down a lot since he gave his power to Midoriya, so when the class goes for rescue training, he's too fatigued to go. We're introduced to the pro hero 13, who is leading the course, but before it can start, a bunch of villains are teleported into the arena. Episode 10. The school's sensors are being jammed, presumably by a villain, so there's no help coming for the students. 13 stays behind to protect the students, while Eraserhead goes to fight the villains head on. Kurogiri cuts off the students' escape and announces that they are the League of Villains who are there to kill All Might. He uses his quirk to separate the students across the arena so that the trash mobs can pick them apart. Midoriya ends up in the shipwreck zone with Mineta and Asui. He comes to the conclusion that they must have been the ones who destroyed the barrier and let the press in so that they could sneak in and gather information. Ida is ordered to use his speed and go get help while 13 covers his escape from Kurogiri. Back over to Midoriya and company, who are stuck in a ship with villains surrounding them. Midoriya does a power flick that breaks his thumb and middle finger to blow a hole in the water, giving them the distraction needed to use Atsui's quirk to escape. Episode 11. Eraserhead is still fighting off multiple villains, so Midoriya wants to go and see if he can try and help him. He gets to where Eraserhead is, but can't find an opening to help, so they end up just kind of sitting there and watching. Eraserhead blinks, which allows Tomoda Shigaraki, the leader in the attack, to activate his quirk, crumbling Eraserhead's elbow. The Nomu steps in and starts dumpstering Eraserhead, and he points out that the Nomu is actually as strong as All Might. 13 is outsmarted and defeated by Kurogiri, so Uraraka has to step in to cover Ida's escape to get help. Shigaraki targets Asui, but Eraserhead manages to get eyes on him before he could use his quirk. Midoriya goes to use One for All on Shigaraki, and even though he managed to control his power to prevent his arm from breaking, the Nomu had stepped in front of the punch and absorbed it like it was nothing. And in the last scene, All Might finally arrives to join the fight. Episode 12. All Might uses his super speed to get Eraserhead and the kids to safety from the villains. The students are ordered to get Eraserhead to safety while All Might covers their retreat. All Might's punches are negated by the Nomu shock absorption, so instead he has to try and use a suplex on it. Kurogiri uses his warp gate to prevent this from being effective, and the Nomu goes for All Might's weak spot where he was injured 5 years before. The Nomu is actually just a distraction to get All Might halfway into Kurogiri's warp gate so that they can shut the gate, cutting All Might in half. Midoriya sees that All Might is stuck, so he runs to help, right as Bakugo, Todoroki, and Kirishima show up to help in the fight as well. Todoroki freezes the Nomu while Bakugo secures Kurogiri's body. The Nomu gets free and goes to kill Bakugo and rescue Kurogiri, so All Might has to step in and save Bakugo while taking the hit. After that, he squares off with the Nomu and punches him in rapid succession until the shock absorption wears off. Before it can regenerate the shock absorption, he throws one last haymaker that launches the Nomu into the sky, leaving Shigaraki and Kurogiri as the only ones left. Episode 13. Apparently somebody had the information that All Might was getting weaker and told the League of Villains about it. All Might was pushed to his limits in the fight with the Nomu, so now he's putting on a show that he's fine, antagonizing the villains in hopes that they retreat. They call his bluff and Shigaraki rushes him, so Midoriya breaks both of his legs, jumping to land a hit on Kurogiri. Shigaraki reacts and uses Kurogiri to teleport his hand in front of Midoriya, but before he can use his quirk, he is stopped by the UA teachers who finally arrive with Ida. With the heroes arriving, the villains are forced to retreat with Kurogiri's warp gate. They arrive at a bar where Shigaraki's master is informed of their failure and says that they're just gonna have to try again. Eraserhead and 13 receive treatment for their injuries and are both gonna be okay. The Nomu was also found and didn't resist, so the cops take it into custody. We get a segue scene with Midoriya saying that this attack was just the beginning of a major incident that happens later, and we get a skewed look at a new villain. This got me thinking about how the only thing I hate more than intros is outros.